Welcome to the Business Spotlight, brought to you by 123 Internet Group. Hear from industry leaders, businesses and organisations about the topics that matter the most. Business Spotlight, the impact of COVID-19.
Right.
Hi, Scott.
Thank you. How you doing, Dan? All right?
I'm very well. Yourself?
Good. Right. So welcome to the Business Spotlight. So great to have you on today. Thanks for joining us. Obviously, very strange times at the moment, unprecedented, as they keep saying. Do you want to just start just by introducing yourself, a little bit about the business and what you do?
Yeah, cool. So my name's Darren Sharp. My company's called Stafford-Sharp Associates, otherwise known as SSA. So we're a digital IT recruitment agency. So we've been going for 12 years now, based in Northampton, to be precise, Silverstone now. We're at the Innovation and Tech Park. So
Nice.
known Scott for many years, because again, he's in our arena. And so trying times for us and a lot of trying times for our clients that we've seen in the marketplace at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously we're in digital, which is kind of one of your key areas.
Yeah.
So we've got, design, dev, social, and all the people that you employ for, basically, isn't it? You sort of find and headhunt for people. So
Yes.
I guess you're probably the best person to sort of look at in terms of our sector at the moment, actually, as well as myself being in it.
Yeah.
And I think, are you seeing a bit of a mix with different agencies and company sizes and stuff like that?
Yeah, so we've seen a real mixed bag. There's been a lot of business within quite a few of the agencies. I suppose a bit like yourself, they were expecting the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And for some of my bigger clients, it's actually been the opposite. They've actually been very, very busy.
Yeah.
Their clients have taken the opportunity to say, well, look, it's quiet. It's not a recession, it's a freeze. But let's make as much noise as possible to say, look, we're here. This is what we're doing. And a lot of it, it's the messages are slightly different that they're putting out. There's a lot of empathy going out on the marketplace, so I suppose their noise and their message is slightly different,
Yeah.
So their clients and the marketplace are getting a different feel of them, so they're taking that sort of route to market. So guys like you that are good at what they do, we're finding are still busy. We've had a couple of hires within the digital arena as well.
Awesome.
They've taken the opportunity to, Scott, talent in our marketplace is hard to come by.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they've taken that opportunity, to get ahead of their competitors, because unfortunately there is the downside to the marketplace as well. There is some guys that have been furloughed. There's some guys that have also unfortunately been made redundant. So they've taken the opportunity. So, well, look, we know we're coming through this. Let me pin this down and let's employ. Don't get me wrong, Scott. We're not taking on lots of heads, but they're taking one or two sort of focus heads.
Yeah. No, I think that's the thing as well. Obviously, you represent both companies like ourselves, agencies like ourselves, sort of looking for those next employees, the next great sort of big heads of the business. And like you say, there are some agencies. I mean, we've been really fortunate, I guess, that we've been super busy, and we've not furloughed anybody. We're in a catch-22. There's no point furloughing somebody if you've got loads of work on. It doesn't make sense. We're a limited business as well, so the sort of support for companies like us, which aren't, we're not a huge business, we're not a massive corporate, so the support is limited for us, but we're sort of ticking over. Everything is running nicely. We're actually signing new contracts and stuff, and that, I think, as we come out, where we have had some retainers go on pause, when we come out of this, we're going to be even busier. So I guess for us, we're going to need extra heads and things like this to keep growing. How are you finding the people that you represent, these employees? Some of them have been furloughed, perhaps, that are thinking, actually, look, now's the time to change. I guess a lot of them are worried about what a new role might look like now as well.
Yeah. So if you look at the from a candidate perspective, I presume talking about, we've seen two sort of trends. Prime example, we do a lot within gaming. Gaming's very, very busy. Okay. Again, everybody's at home, so they're online.
Perfect.
They're using chance to game and keep their own mental health by playing games, and doing something out of the ordinary. So they're very busy. But we're trying to get them staff, but we've had a couple of big sort of hires that maybe should have happened that haven't, because staff are actually scared of moving as well.
Yeah, of course.
Because of the environment, we forget that the current situation affects people differently. I suppose one thing that's come to the forefront when we're dealing with candidates, again, it's about this empathy, because we don't know how people deal with it. I'm very much, my glass is half full, not half empty. But we forget there's a lot of people with the negative news around that it affects them, and it doesn't seem the right time for me to move.
Yeah.
But it's,
I mean, talk about,
it's hard.
Talk about sort of mental health things like that as well, I guess, where people are looking for that next role and things in recruitment as well, and also your team, I guess, as well, and equally yourself. I mean, how are you finding the kind of mental health situation at the moment?
Scott, I'm always honest. I like to think I'm a positive guy, but I must admit, last week I had a wobble. I found it hard. I suppose there's things that people, unless they run a business, they don't understand all the things that we're having to do in the background. I think nowadays, now and again, it's going to get to you and pull you down, with the impacts that we've got. We're trying to deal with work, plus we're trying to run a normal home life. I've got 2 kids that are homeschooling. Mate, it's a complete and utter nightmare. Within that, my wife decided to get a puppy as well, just to add to the stress. Chaos. Yeah. So I must admit, from my perspective, me being positive, there's still days that are hard, because we're having to, I call it war planning. When all this come into place, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to get through it. And now we're looking at how we're going to come out of it.
Okay, great.
But there's still bits that we're having to do, like chasing money, make sure the staff are looked after. And I'm on the Skype calls with the guys daily to make sure they're upbeat.
It's hard, isn't it? You're not just managing yourself as a business owner, I think, as well. This is what people perhaps sometimes might not see behind the scenes as well, which is why this is important to have these kind of spotlight sessions. That as business owner, you've got to look after yourself, your own family. I've got a couple of kids, as myself.
Exactly.
The idea of getting a puppy on that as well at the moment would be a nightmare, I think, for me, to be fair. So I might try and avoid that one. But I think managing your own mental health, managing looking after your kids, make sure they're happy, because it's all different for them as well. Keeping the wife, the partner's happy. And then you've also got the team. As we've got sort of team of 16. So those morning session for us, and we found in an evening session, actually having a 5 o'clock kind of finish point. A quick kind of all hands, let's get together on Zoom, have a bit of a laugh. How's the day? But it just winds down then, and it stops them. I think I'm finding myself working a lot more hours actually in between the kids and everything during the day. So later in the evening, I'm finding myself still at work, and I'm having to kind of shut off a little bit and watch a film or chill out. Are you finding the same sort of thing?
I must admit, very, very similar for me. Yes, it's a prime example. My day was quite disrupted, but I was doing short blocks, stopping, helping kids, doing out, getting their exercise done. But then I found I'm still sat 8 o'clock at night, going through my emails, answering and doing work in the background, So I suppose, I don't know whether you've done the same. The message to my staff was, our market is tight. Don't sit at your screen all day. I think you've got to do big chunks of 8 hours. So long as we're doing what I'm trusting you guys to do what needs to be done, and I know you've got impacts at home. If you have to go and help your kids go to school, go and do it, because I know you'll pick that up later. I think it can be detrimental if I'm running a strict ship, i.e. they're driven by KPIs, they're driven by their targets. All of that's out the window. It's just I'm trusting you to work within your best abilities, but work looks different. That definition of work is different. Does that kind of make sense?
I mean, you said yourself there, obviously you used the word there, trust, a few times. I think that's really important right now. It's okay jumping on the call in, every day to sort of, make sure that actually it's not about them doing work. It's about actually making sure that they're okay. It's that emotion there, make sure that they're connected to you and they're okay actually day to day. I think workload has definitely changed. The workflow has changed hugely. We have very strict processes to follow with what we do and things like that. But how are you finding this sort of technology? So like stuff like this, Zoom, Teams, is all great, isn't it? I mean,
so we're fortunate again. We're in technology. We had video interviewing set up. It's just that we're using it ourselves now. that's the difference, to interact as a team. And I've said throughout the whole of this, we've got to take some positives out of this.
Yeah.
I think the way that companies can operate or understand what a normal looks like now is completely different. So they can rely on people working remotely. The trust is there and the technology is there.
Yeah.
But you'll be surprised it surprised me when this first came in, the amount of my technology clients surprised me that weren't geared up.
Really?
Have their staff work remotely.
Yeah.
Was insane.
Yeah.
Yet they're technology companies, but they've put these in place. And it's, and it's working well. I've got one client was looking to buy a new office.
Yeah.
They thought that I got a new spec come through for them today. So they're actually busy, which is good. But they said, look, we're actually changing what we're doing. We've taken this time. We're now offering remote work 2 to 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And what that also then means, we don't have to buy another office. We can hot desk. So in hindsight, that change of perception of what normal looks like within a working place, I think is great. It's a big positive.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of change, hasn't there, in terms of digital transformation has been fast tracked for a lot of businesses. They may have really been embracing it, but they've now pushed the button on things they might be holding off on and things like that. They've had to adapt and change to this kind of environment, haven't they? I think personally, for our business will change a little bit as well. I'm certain of that. We were lucky we were already geared up for remote working. We've been on it now 6-7 weeks almost. So it was quite easy for us to do this, but my team is definitely missing our lovely barn, we've got, and we're missing that environment, that lovely culture. Yeah. We've been doing things like bingo nights. We've been doing all this kind of fun stuff, so I think that stuff's really important. I suppose on post-COVID, I guess when we all return and normality comes to come back, to this, things are going to remain, so I think remote working will still be a big part.
Yes.
I think those roles then I guess will have changed slightly. That actually we're not looking for somebody that, will come in now full time and sit Monday to Friday. Actually, if you do your hours and you're elsewhere, great.
Yeah.
I think that's going to change dramatically, isn't it?
Yeah, I think if you look at, again, good and bad things that have come out of this, if you look at it from a business owner perspective and me chatting to my clients, one thing it has highlighted, it also highlights your good and bad staff at this moment in time. So it has two flips, it's that one of who's in the trenches and who can knuckle down when need be and not be micromanaged and can work remotely. It highlights, those that put hands up to go on furlough because they see it as we can get paid 80%.
This is it. Yeah, that's
not
it.
Do out. And again, that's probably a bit controversial, so I apologise. But if we look at it from a business perspective, and this is feedback I'm getting from my clients, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The ones that are with you now are your good stuff.
Yeah,
it highlights. Do you know what? My team is right. Well, it highlights. You know what? I need to make a couple of tweaks and changes. But the ones that have been with you, one, it's going to change the way that they work and operate because their trust has been brought into by the management team.
Yes,
they prove themselves. There's no reason to doubt it. So again, that good and bad.
Yeah, I think that works the other way as well, doesn't it? Employees, we've got a very close relationship with all of our employees, which is lovely. As we go away every year together as a whole group and things like that. But for us, there's a lot of respect going both ways. They're being trusted in what they do day to day. They're in the trenches, they're working hard, they're continuing to support our clients, which is the most important thing. They're also looking after themselves, juggling kids and everything else behind the scenes. Coming out of this, we're all going to have that camaraderie together again. So I think the teams that you're left with, dare I say it, at the end of this, there will be some clients, I guess people you work with, they'll be slimming back, like you said.
Yes.
But that core team you're going to be left with are going to be really loyal.
Exactly.
Will have been through the same things together. I think that'll be really, really tight. What about sort of isolation then? What's the one thing, or the couple of things you miss the most, Darren?
Of course, for me, I train a lot.
Yeah.
And that's for my own sanity. And it's always been, I've never really trained at home. I may practice at home, different bits and pieces, but the idea is that I go somewhere that's, I suppose, my safe haven, where I keep my sanity. I'll go there, I train hard, I come home, I'm okay. So for me, the biggest thing, one is from that isolation, is I'm missing my train, I'm missing my interaction, I'm missing my, I don't understand. selfish, but I'm missing my me time. I.e.,
Yeah,
that's
you've not been
the bit
hitting old Joe Wicks then in the morning, have you?
No, I haven't been doing. I started off with the kids, but again, that also drove me mad as well because the kids were messing about and didn't take their exercise seriously. So that I've knocked that on the head. So yeah, so you know, for me, it's to have my own headspace. My headspace is my training.
Yeah,
I suppose a bit like you, I miss my team and my office environment.
yeah,
I miss that banter.
that connection, isn't it? That,
Yeah, and you don't. You know, Zoom will never replace that. Skype will never replace that interaction one-on-one.
Yeah,
In the here and now is different, you know. So it's going to make me appreciate my office a lot more. So that's the sort of stuff that I'm missing from the sort of isolation bit. I'm loving spending time with the kids and that lot. Whilst I'm saying it's driving me mad to getting the balance right. But Scott, you can't pay to spend that time with your kids that you get into, and the wife. You know,
that's it. And I think for me, this has been great as well. Actually, having time at home with the kids, actually one-on-one time, you know, with the wife and that as well. That's been really important. And I think myself coming back out of this, sort of again, we talk about post-COVID, but coming out of this, you know, for me, I want to make sure I can spend more time at home, get that, higher that sort of appreciation level there. And that's about, again, the balance. You know, we can remote work. We proved it. 6-7 weeks in. So actually, this is going to be some of the big changes as well, I think. What about sort of from a marketing point of view? You know, guys obviously are still hitting the phones. I mean, you know, this isn't a time, you said, you know, before this call, that this isn't the time for selling. This is a time for educating, supporting and stuff. Yeah,
so, you know, guys are still making the calls, but the calls have changed. You know, this is about us building our marketplace as opposed to selling to the marketplace, if that makes sense, you know. So we've done, the guys are targeted more on building relationships, you know. If we build the relationships, the sales, like anything, Scott, the sales come later, you know. You know that you're one of the best networking guys that I know, you know. And it's not about sale, and I think sometimes, particularly in our business, the guys forget it's about relationship. Whether that's with clients, whether that's with candidates, it's important, you know. So they've taken time. A lot of their LinkedIn, they've taken time to build up their profiles within LinkedIn, which is great, you know. So change their message a little bit. So it's been good, you know. We're lucky. I've got Natasha, that's our digital marketing girl, and she's been helping the guys build their brand a little bit, you know.
Brilliant.
And it's been good to see them strike up and just have conversations. And that's all they need to do at this moment in time. Don't get me wrong, if there's a sell there at the end of it, great, but they shouldn't be going looking for the sell.
No, that's it. Now's
not the time. Now's not the place, you know. It's how are you? This is what's happening. Share market info. We've probably been doing a lot like you do, you know. We've been in our marketplace, been a load about furlough, so we've been sending details out to our smaller clients that maybe don't have the network to understand furlough. Involved in that, sending out information on the CBIL loans, things like that. So it's about giving information, about supporting.
It's about supporting, isn't it?
It shows there's more to us than just the dreaded bloody recruitment consultant that's knocking on your door selling you something every bloody minute.
This is it, and I think that, you know, a lot of certain industries get obviously a bad rep as well. Obviously, you know, and also LinkedIn especially, you know, it's always been known as this kind of recruitment haven, isn't it, really? But actually right now, I think if you're approaching people, we've seen a massive upturn in sort of people on LinkedIn. Everyone's at home. Everyone's on LinkedIn. Everyone's, you know, using social media now. Massive rise, is almost 80% rise in usage of the internet. So, you know, that's the place to be right now, isn't it? But it is about building those relationships, supporting, advising, helping. Getting that tone right, I guess, isn't it, across the social channels?
I think you're right. The tone is right. You know, we did. I think Natasha put out this week, Good Vibes Monday. You know, sort of all the bad news. Here's some good bits. It wasn't about recruitment. It wasn't about our service. It was about, look, here's some good news. Things aren't all bad. So the guys are tasked with bringing a couple of good bits of news to the table each week that's got them motivated, and we're going to share that. You know, because everybody's in this boat together. We all need to be rowing the same direction and keeping everybody prepped up. You know, time for business will be when we come out of the recession at the end. But hopefully within that time, I said recession, I said the bad word, but once we come out, once we come out of this pandemic, you know, then's the time. But
Yeah.
they'll be known and trusted because they've had conversations and people that want to talk to them and want to do business with them. It's a theory.
Yeah, I think, from what, and again, we're sort of helping our clients as well. I think right now, everyone's got their own market share, where the people have, some people have slipped off, maybe some clients have, some potential competitors have gone quiet. Actually, that's only going to increase naturally your market share you're going to have coming out of this as well.
Good.
So I think, if you're coming across the right way, like you said, educating, advising, helping, building solid relationships, when they need you later, they're going to remember that, I think.
Yeah, and it's, and that's not the end goal. It's about doing something because it's right at the moment.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah.
I think I said to you earlier, the bit where you shared the free screensavers for Zoom.
Yeah.
It's a great bit, because we forget there's a lot of people out there that aren't used to using Zoom and this technology like we are. So to give that and say, here you go, did you know?
Yeah, that's it.
It's perfect. It's a little share just to enhance everybody's experience. It's how it should be.
Yeah, it's funny, the activity books that we've been sharing as well. We're doing those twice a week now, to keep the kids happy. My kids have been doing them. It's great. So I've got one of our designers knocking these out because it's brilliant for me as well to use, so.
Yeah. Joe Wicks is a prime example.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's doing it to share. He's not taking no profits out of it.
Yeah.
It's all going back to his NHS fund. So
yeah,
it's about doing the right thing at the right time. And this is when you really start to see what your people are like,
Yeah, definitely.
The bad ones, you're going to be left behind because you're going to be called out very, very quickly.
Yeah.
But it's lovely to see more people that are doing good and doing it because it's the right thing to do than just doing it for the sake of it. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's awesome. Well, look, I mean, it's been wicked to sort of catch up with you, have a good chat as well. Hear about the kind of things you're changing, already changed. Certainly, I think what's clear, the people that we're sort of talking to, the future is going to look different to what it did before. That's obviously very, very clear. Any sort of final hints or tips or advice you can give somebody to sort of close off with?
Advice and tips, my God. For me, guys, keep positive. I think that one of the biggest things that I took away that I heard recently was from Miriam, the guy that the editor of Money Matters. It's not a recession. This is a freeze. Business will happen, and it's not just us. It's across the board. If every recession happens, it's usually one country. It's a freeze. Stuff will happen. Hang in there. I know it's tough for some of you guys have been on furlough, but the market will move from a recruitment perspective. Things will move, and they will move quickly because people will be trying to recruit what they lost during this pandemic. So I think positivity is the main thing I can share.
No, it sounds really, really good. What's your social channels and website, Darren, for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so for us, website is www.s-sa.co.uk. The Insta is SSA recruitment. So hook us up, and hopefully we can help in any way that we can do. Superb.
Awesome. Well, look, brilliant to talk to you today. As I say, we'll be sharing these on our social feeds and so on as well. But no, great to catch up. And when we do come out of this, let's catch up for, a proper meal, proper drink, and, get back to normal.
Mate, that will be fantastic. I look forward to that. Scott, thank you for having us on.
All right, Darren. Nice one. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thanks, Dale. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. If you need advice with your digital marketing, please feel free to reach out to 123 Internet Group or visit www.123internet.agency to find out more about our services.